Like most people, I'm really curious about how people plan and journal on a daily basis and how this shapes their week. And so I did a little experiment while I was back in Vancouver, and I documented each time I opened up my planner and journal each day. So let's take a look at this experiment and see how much I actually use my planners and journals. Let me give you some context about this experiment first. This experiment started on March 25th. So this is in late March. This is actually the last week of March. And this is Monday. So this is the start of my planning and journaling week and also the start of my work week. And this week is a little bit different than usual because I was actually back home in Vancouver during this time. So my planning and journaling routine is already a little bit different because I'm away from the place that I normally journal at, which is on my dining room table back in Long Beach. So this is a little bit of a different, I guess, week because it's a little bit out of the norm, but it's actually also quite normal for me because this is also the room that I have stayed in for many years before. This is my old room, so I get to show you a little bit of that. But basically at the beginning of the week, I start with opening up my planner, and this is my A5 size plotter. I'm using the Horsehair 2 series of leather that came out a few weeks ago actually, and this has been super amazing. But I got a chance to bring it with me back to Vancouver to test it out and to use it, and it's been great. I've been using the green one and it's so lovely, and I mostly plan actually on my weekly spread. So on the left hand side I have my work tasks, and on my right hand side I have my planning for my personal life. And so personal life includes Job's journal, anything related to like hang out with friends, family, anything that's outside of work goes on the right hand side of the spread, and then on the left hand side of the spread is all of my work duties. So I actually go about my day starting with putting down all of the deadlines or events that I have for the week, and I start with my personal plans. So I actually have a video that I wanted to do that was due on that Wednesday, and then I wanted to do a Patreon post on Thursday, and then I put down some plans for that Sunday. And I actually like to use my Traveler's Notebook stickers. These come out during the Diary 2024 release. If you are new to the Traveler's company system or the stationery world, a lot of new stickers and new planners come out in August, and so they restock pretty early, like 6 months before the beginning of the year. And I was lucky enough to buy the decorative sticker set that comes out for the 2024 year for Traveler's Company. After that, I actually go into more date specific tasks. So I try, this is a little bit of a stretch though, but I try to do my personal tasks in a circular tick box, and then all of my work tasks are in a square tick box or check box. But sometimes I forget. Like you can see if you actually zoom in on my tasks on the right hand side, they're still in a square, even though I try to do a circle. If I remember, I'll put it in a circle, but it's just a way to visually remind myself that this is a work task, and then some of those tasks are actually personal tasks. Right now it's Monday, so I'm writing down all of the tasks that I want to do for the day on the left hand side, and then I only have one like personal to do on the right hand side. And you might be wondering, what is that little orange leaflet in the middle of your spread? Basically, sometimes I use a secondary like piece of paper that I punch. Sometimes it's like as small as this little jotter page that doesn't come with your plotter, but you can buy it at Plotter, or I just take a random sheet of paper and I punch it, and I put any floating long-term to-dos in the center there that I just need to remind myself of sometime this week. Sometimes it's not really date specific, but I like to have it there just in case. And then after that, I actually have been really enjoying journaling in the morning as of late, because at night when I'm journaling about that day, I'll sit down and journal, at like 8 p.m. But that's not the end of the day. So there's still things that, could happen. Maybe I'll watch a new movie that'll like make me cry or something in the evening. And then that doesn't get encapsulated in my journal. So I've actually started to journal about my day in the morning to recap what happened in the previous day. And that's been working a little bit better because it allows me to kind of fully live that day and then document it the following day. I don't really know how you guys do it, but back then I was very big time night journaler. I still like to journal at night, but in terms of this Hobonichi Hon, I like to actually journal in the morning. So I'm actually a few days late here. I have not journaled for actually no, I'm actually just right. I was just saying that I am late. I didn't do the 23rd, but I was just saying that I like to journal the day after. So since this is the 25th, I have to fill in the 24th. So I actually printed out stickers, I think that morning or also late last night, the previous night, for my other journal. And usually my Hon, I don't really decorate it. I like to add things into it, but I don't give myself any rules to decorate it. It's purely just a way to like remember my days and to log my days. Sure, I'll like doodle, and I love doodling and decorating, so there's pretty much decoration in each page, but I don't force myself ever to do that. So I just decided to decorate this page with some extra stickers that were offcuts. You can actually see that photo. It's just a photo of my hat because I took a photo with my friends Ray and Olivia, and I realized that we were cut off in the photo when I printed it, because my printer, they didn't cut it off, but my silhouette cutter, which is a cutting machine, accidentally cut off the sticker in the wrong place. So I got to use that, and most of the time I love to fill in the left hand column that has the time blocks or the daily schedule. But when I don't particularly remember what happened that day, or I wasn't really mindful of my time and the whole day, I usually just decorate that spot, or will cover it up with just writing. So today I opted to just put a washi tape there and decorate it with this kind of blue and brown and green and purple theme. Is a little bit odd. Maybe there's really no theme. I think I just chose random things that I liked, and I just went with that. But I spent some time journaling in this, and then in the morning, usually on the work days, I like to keep my Hon open, and I just log whatever happens throughout the day on the kind of time blocking schedule. As you can see, I'm working on it right now. And at that point, I kind of just fill in, what happens. And if not, I'll fill this in again in the next day, in the next journaling session in the morning. But I don't really force myself to log every hour each time, but when I remember to do so, I'll write it down. It's just fun to look back at, and I find it funny that oh shoot, I was working and at the same time I was listening to a fun podcast. Those are little topics or things that I don't really remember to write about in my journal, because I usually, when I journal about the day, it's very overarching in terms of the themes that I talk about. It's just the general vibe of the day instead of the fun minutia that I find interesting. I know not everyone is into that, and some people don't like logging their days because they think their days are mundane, but I like logging the mundane things. It's the fun small things in life that I find super cool, and I think that's a really good thing to practice, actually, because it's a great way to practice gratitude when you get to enjoy the small little things in life. For me, I think a lot of people know, but I love Chobani flip, so I just log every time I get a Chobani flip. I had that today, it was delicious. That's kind of my philosophy with time blocking. It's not a productivity thing, it's more of let's remember the small mundane things in life and find gratitude and love and joy in those small things. On Tuesday, I ended up opening up my planner at 2 p.m. It was a particularly busy morning with in-person meetings, and I actually didn't have time to even open up this planner. And so I'm doing something that I hate to admit, but I actually retroactively put in, the tasks that I've completed already and things that I've done in my planner after it's already happened, and then I'll just check it off for the sake of checking it off, because it's nice to check off a tick box. But also I think it's also important to write down what you did for yourself when you're reviewing how the week went. And it's also a good accountability thing to do in terms of work, because you can see when you completed tasks and you have it documented, just so you know. So I have always done that. Even when I was teaching, I would write down the things that I did, even though I've already completed it, just to log it down. And I think in terms of a planner, it's always nice to log and to plan at the same time. I didn't write anything in my personal column in my planner on the right hand side, because I didn't really have anything going on that day in particular, and I didn't have that many Job's journal tasks, so I didn't even write anything on that side. And then I quickly jumped into my journal. This is again the Hone, and you might be wondering, wow, he hasn't opened up a traveler's journal at all. And I would say that during this month of March, I was happily in my Hone honeymoon, or as I like to call it, honeymoon. Sorry, I just had to throw I had to throw that in. I was planning this video, and I have like a piece of like a note paper in my planner, just like stashed in there, that just says honeymoon, use in journal. So sorry, use it in the video. So yeah, there you go. But basically, I was really in my honeymoon phase. I was really into using it, and so I actually devoted a lot of my journaling time and power into documenting my life in this notebook. That doesn't mean that I don't use my traveler's notebooks at all. I still actually use my traveler's notebooks daily, but during this time I was heavily invested in this system, and it was new to me. I think I just started using the Hone around late February at this point, and so we were heading into like the 1 month I guess month anniversary, is that even a word, of using this. So I was definitely still on a Hone high. There's so many alliterations: Hone high, Hone honeymoon. But yeah, I've been loving this planner, and I think it's just that I love the A6 size, and I am a sucker for both A5 and A6 planners and journals. So yeah, I completed this entry, and I ended up carrying about with my day. But as you can see, I actually don't really open up my planner too many times in the day, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I think there are times that I did open up my planner later after I filmed this that I didn't end up documenting, but usually it's just for me to reference what I've written down and occasionally cross off or put a check box or check mark on the check boxes for my tasks. The last thing that I added to my journal was actually starting my log for that day. So since it's Tuesday, I started logging everything that I did up until that point. So I think this was around 2 or 3 p.m. And so I ended up filling out everything that I did up until that point so I don't forget. And then I ended up closing this journal and continuing my work. Hi, happy Wednesday. It might look like it's a lovely Wednesday morning where I'm, waking up gently and also starting my day in a nice, calm mood with a cup of coffee. But psych, it's actually 1 p.m. and I'm drinking coffee after lunch. And that's just the nature of my planning and journaling during this week. I think I already told you that I was traveling and I was visiting home during this time. And so my usual schedule is a little bit off, and that can totally be reflected in my planning and journaling. But it's just nice to know that I'm still opening up my planner and journals on a daily basis during this trip. As you can see, I spent my first part of my planning session actually backfilling and writing down tasks that I completed. I told you earlier on my Tuesday log that I really don't mind backlogging things that I've completed, and it feels good. I checked off a few things, and I was ready to move on in terms of planning. And I actually ended up using my bookmark, which is from, I believe, Color Cafe. It's a custom bookmark that I ordered on Etsy, and I use this frequently as a ruler. I usually just take it out because it's just snapped into the rings, which is actually super handy. We are adding a little task on the left-hand side of the spread, and actually I use that kind of narrow column on the leftmost page of the spread for any actual events or calls or meetings that I have, and I note it with a star, like a 4-pointed star. I like to use that in like my artwork and my journal spreads a lot too. It's fun to draw and it adds a little whimsy, and I thought I would use that to signify tasks because it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And then I make all of my other tasks in just regular tick boxes. And here I am forgetting. I think this whole week I didn't even use circles for personal and squares for work, but I like to think that I do that. I in my mind when I remember I do it, but it doesn't always happen. As you can see in this planning session, I actually move back and forth from the work and the personal side, and sometimes I fill out the personal tasks first and then my work tasks, and sometimes it's vice versa, or sometimes I just jump around, and that's just the fun nature of planning. And then I got a little fancy. I already had my Tombos out, so I was like, why don't we color in the stars with the Tombow marker? And it just added some more color. We already have some orange in the spread with the little jotter paper that we have there, the 3-ring memo pad that I was using, the memo sheet from Plotter, and I just wanted to carry that visual language throughout my journal spread. As you can see, I have flipped back to my monthly spread. I think I briefly flipped back to my monthly spread on Monday, and I'm just again logging. Do I even plan? I just log things. But I'm just logging what happened on Tuesday. I've been really loving monthly journaling, like monthly journal spreads, like in my traveler's notebook, in the passport, or even in the regular size. And I'm trying to save that momentum for my planner as well and updating my monthly. I just don't think in a monthly format in terms of my planning, which is weird because for digital planning, I love looking at a monthly calendar. Like for work, we use Notion and also Outlook for monthly tasks and plans. And even in my personal Apple Calendar, I like using a month view instead of a weekly view. But in terms of like physical planning, it's still something that I'm trying to get used to. But I'm trying to diligently fill this in when I remember. And this Wednesday, I happen to remember, which is a great win on my part, I think. Before we conclude our Wednesday portion of this video, I went ahead and filled out my daily journal entry in my own. As you can see on the left hand side, I filled in the weekly time log. I keep saying weekly, the daily time log. And then I made a little caption. I just been liking the look of like a big caption on the top part where it has the to-do tasks. Since I'm not using this as a full-on planner, I just like to use that space for a little header just to give me a little bit of a memory spark. Is that even a term? When I'm flipping back through my journal to see, what happened. It's just nice to see like, oh, that day I met Take and Chris for coffee at Revolver, and I met with them for work stuff. And then, I stamped. I was reunited with my wooden stamps. Guys, it's been so long since I've been, I don't even know how to, I'm so emotional right now that I can't put it to words. It's been so long since I've been reconnected with my wooden stamps. I've only been using my acrylic stamps from Everyday Explorers Co. in Long Beach. So I obviously had to jump on the chance to use my wooden stamps, and it looked so good. I used this coffee stamp from my friend Nita's shop, a blank note, which I highly recommend if you want wooden stamps. It's like my only place that I buy wooden stamps from, other than like physical events. But yeah, that's pretty much what I did. We're taking off. Whoa. This is news to me. I didn't know that I took the washi tape that I already had on there. I wanted to journal more. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna put some deco because I want to, and then I'll take it off because I still want to write and journal. And don't get me wrong, the A6 is just the perfect size still. It's not too big or too small. It's just that I end up decorating and it takes up a lot of space. So I have to, juggle decorative items and also my writing. So and then before we end this portion, I started this day's journal spread. I usually end up writing only the weather and the temperature, and then I'll log a little bit of what happened that day. And if I'm even feeling lucky, or I already know what the kind of caption is going to be, I'll write that down. So right now I'm like, ooh, confidently gonna write down my little caption for today's journal spread. But that's pretty much it. Let's check in again tomorrow. Hello, or should I say good evening, or maybe even good morning, because it is currently 11:32 p.m. when I started journaling on this fine Thursday night, and I'm not proud of it, but this is just how it is some days. Some days you don't open up your planner in the morning at all. You don't even open it in the afternoon or even in the regular evening time. It's in like the late night that I only got a chance to journal, and I actually started journaling into the next day because I think I ended up completing all of my fun journaling and planning at around 12:30 in the morning already. So yeah, I'm guilty. I'm just really bad at working in my planner when it's busy. It seems counterintuitive because you feel like you should be leaning into your planner when you're busy, but when you're busy you kind of just know all the things you need to do. At least for me, this might be a Joe specific thing, but I know what I need to accomplish that day, and so I just go about it like I said earlier. But it was nice to actually sit down and log. I enjoyed this portion first. As you can see, I blazed through the planner portion of that day because I was just like quickly logging the things that I did and then planning for tomorrow, and then I moved on to logging and journaling for that day. So luckily that day was a really fun filled day. It was a day that I got to hang out with my friend Kat and Claudia, and we had sushi, and it was nice to catch up and talk about K-pop and travel and all that fun stuff. And so I got home later in that evening too, because I was out in that evening time, so that's why we're journaling way later. Usually I would journal at night, like probably 8 p.m. is like a really good time, but we ended up getting home late, and so I ended up journaling at 12:30. But it is what it is, and I found it really relaxing, and I was really feeling like writing that time. There you go. And actually this happened yesterday. Sorry, that happened the day before. This didn't even happen today. But I'm going to tell you something. I cheated because I usually, again, journal about the day that happened the next day. But since this was the 28th on Thursday and the day was practically over, like I was going to go probably doom scroll on TikTok for a bit and then sleep. And so I actually just went ahead and actually created my spread for that Thursday, which is usually something that I don't do. There are days that I do this. Honestly, I think in the weekends I end up doing this more just because I have more time and I'm up a lot later. But I knew that I was going to go to sleep pretty soon after this, so I just completed my log, my time log. I guess that's what we should call it. My little time log for the day, and then I went about with my journaling, and I had the luxury of having my stationery there. So I had this King Jim sticker folder, which is a really handy tool that holds sticker flakes, and I actually just use that to keep a bunch of my stickers that I have pre-cut. Sorry, my PET tapes that I have pre-cut. If you don't know what PET tape it is a roll of PET, which is like plastic, but it is filled with stickers. So imagine a roll of stickers, like imagine the 90s with like the roll stickers, but everything is still intact, so you have to manually cut it out. Actually, if you look at it that way, it sounds less desirable. But I swear it's a really great invention, and yeah, go check out my PET tapes too. This might be divisive, but are you team Fry Yay, or are you team TGIF, or are you team none of the above because you don't enjoy that type of, what is that even called, like office lingo? I don't know. I always see a lot of like not hate, but like a lot of people like like roll their eyes when they see Fry, at least on the internet, because it's like, oh, come on, like whatever. But I'm in the camp of like whatever makes you happy and is silly is kind of what I like. I don't know. I'm trying not to cringe too much in life now, because to be cringe is to be free. I like have that at the back of my mind, because I feel like when you are constantly thinking about something being cringy, you end up not doing the things that you want to do. And so I'm trying to be more cringe so I can be more free. But that's very meta for the intro of this Friday clip. But as you can see, we are working away and I'm actually journaling early. I think I showed you my watch or my time on my phone, and it was like 10 o'clock. So that's amazing that I was journaling pretty early. And as you can see, I think I have like TikTok open, and it's just like playing the same clip over and over again. Do you do that? I feel like I do that when I am about to fall asleep. It's like the same perpetual reel or TikTok that's just playing in the background until I fall asleep, which is really bad. But yeah, I did a quick planning session, and I actually wrote like a bunch of tasks for both personal stuff and work stuff. So it was pretty busy. And while I had my phone out, I checked the weather so I can log the temperature for today's journal spread. Again, we're already done the 28th spread, so we can focus on working on this day's spread, but we'll fill it in later on. And I think this day was a little bit quiet because I did not have the day off, but in Canada you get Good Friday off, so my family was off, and they took my aunt and uncle out for a little adventure, and I was stuck at home. But I honestly really enjoyed this quiet time at the coffee table in the morning, because I have been surrounded with my family for how many? I think I was at home for 3 weeks, right? And this is like the second week, end of second week. So it was nice to have some quiet time by myself to journal. And like, it kind of felt like me being back in Long Beach, just chilling at home and journaling. So this was a nice, comforting time. And I just used the same supplies that I had handy. I had a little capsule collection basically in my little pouch from Stationery Pal. No, not Stationery Pal. Notebook Therapy. And I ended up just using some PT tape cutouts that I had in my King Jim sticker flake holder. But we're going to listen to Real Time Job. I actually was feeling a little vloggy, and I actually said a few things about this spread. Okay, good morning. It's Friday, March 29th. And it's actually like 10:17. So I worked on this pretty early. But I got my stuff ready. I woke up like around 8 and was doing a little bit of work already, checked my emails, but I, like to update my planner pretty early, and this is the first time this week, and it's Friday, that I finally am updating my planner at a normal time. This is usually when I do it, but this week, has been a little bit different. But I wrote down my big 3 tasks. I only like to write the big 3 main tasks I want to do for each day for work, because it gets overwhelming if I put more than 3 big ones, because then I feel like pressured to finish them. Obviously there's days where you have like multiple things that you need to do that are over 3 things, like I don't know, things pile up or things are due. So yeah, this is not always the case, but it's nice to have like 3 big things to finish. Yes, I wrote those down, and then I wrote down some things for my for Job's journal / personal stuff. And then I just did a little bit of deco for my page for my home. And then I do want to update my weekly plus, I was going to say weekly plus memo, but this is actually my vertical weekly insert in my Traveler's notebook. I've been itching to do that. So I might do that at lunch. So you'll probably see a cutaway clip later of me journaling during lunchtime, because I do want to update that. But I think I might update my monthly calendar. Oh, it's actually pretty up to date here. And I think I'm gonna, actually this is all pretty up to date. Never mind. Okay, I'm gonna go about my work day now. Bye-bye. Ah, yes, the weekend. It is Saturday. It is March 30, and this is pretty early in the I was going to say early in the morning. This is early for me on the weekend. I think it was around like 9 or 10 a.m., but I love sleeping in on the weekends. It's like my favorite thing. I think regardless of how old I get, my body clock on weekends, you know how people are like, I'm up at 6 on a weekend. That's not me. I can sleep in regardless. And if I do wake up, I will force myself to fall back asleep because it's such a nice luxury. I just love getting cozy and like waking up at like 10 or 11 and just like not even having breakfast, which is actually good for my intermittent fasting, but just waking up and then just going for it and like having like lunch right away, which is really nice. I love that feeling. I know some people don't, but this was a nice kind of early-ish morning in my books, around like 9 or 10 p.m. And I ended up ticking off a bunch of tasks that I had on my Friday planning section, which is actually a good sign. I actually had quite a bit of tasks to finish for both personal stuff and also work stuff, so this is nice to tick off some of those boxes. And this Saturday is actually a pretty busy Saturday in terms of tasks, but a nice and calm Saturday due to the fact that I am just staying at home. This is a Saturday that I actually had no plans, which was really nice. I intentionally wanted to have a chill Saturday while I was visiting back home because I love Saturday mornings. Usually I'm alone on Saturday mornings because my family goes grocery shopping, and so I had a very calm Saturday morning, and it was nice to kind of just catch up in my planner and then fill in my planner and journal. I already filled in my planner, but fill in my journal spread for that day. And I have been loving this plotter pen. I think earlier in the video I was having some hard starts, but usually I've never had any problems with this. It's still one of my favorites, and I can say confidently that it is still one of my favorite pens as of late. But I do have a second place runner up in terms of gel pens. I think I'm in this gel pen renaissance because I think the Uniball one really did scar me. I've had so many duds with my Uniball one. I know people love that pen, and there's even the shorter Uniball 1P, or is it F? I don't remember, the chubby one, the cute short one. But I always end up getting one that doesn't write very well, and it's really just put me off gel pens for a while. I like the Energel, but the plotter pen was actually the pen that got me back into gel pens. You guys know that I'm a big Uni Jetstream fan, and so it was nice to get back into the gel pen world. And I can say that I actually love the Muji 0.38 gel pen. I purchased it in Canada when I was back home. I think I purchased that like the last weekend, so I didn't actually use it at all during my trip, but I've been using it right now, like ever since getting back from Vancouver, and I've been really liking that gel pen. So if you have a Muji near you, which is actually a weird thing to say because there's no more Mujis in America apparently, or they're all closed. So if you have a Muji near you, it's a luxury, and you should get the 0.38 pen because it's great. And hot take, I think I like it more than my Uniball 1Ps. It's crazy to say that out loud, but I just had bad experiences. That doesn't mean that all of the Uniball 1Ps are bad, but that's just my opinion. I think this was a pretty productive day. I finished a printable for Patreon, and I ended up wanting to plan to post that the following day. Sunday, we made it to the last day of this experiment, and I ended up journaling pretty early again, which is nice, and it was a great way to complete this experiment. I ended up working in my journal right away because honestly, on Sundays, I barely check my planner. And I think that's normal because it's the end of the week. At least for me, I'm a Monday start kind of guy. But for some people, this is the beginning of their week. So some people do their planning, their like big week reset on Sunday. And I know some people who do Monday start planners that do their kind of big planning day on Sunday evenings or sometime in Sunday. But I usually do it on Monday. It just feels like the right way to start the week. So on Sundays, it's a very big journaling day, and for me, that's when I usually journal in my traveler's notebook. But isn't it crazy that in this experiment I didn't journal in my traveler's notebook at all? Like, who am I? But I think the reason why is that I was again in this honeymoon. I was in this honeymoon phase with my hone, and I was really excited to journal my days here. But I can assure you that ever since I got back from my trip to Vancouver, I actually had more courage to tackle on some journaling projects that I have been putting off, like journaling about my Japan trip and journaling about the California Pen Show. I have so much ephemera, like bags of ephemera from those trips and those events, and it's so nice to finally tackle that on after having my honeymoon phase with my hone during my trip to Vancouver. But I am still using the hone happily after a few weeks. It's actually been months since this video was filmed, and I'm still enjoying it so much. It's such a lovely companion for my traveler's notebook, because I do daily journal in there too. But when I say daily journal, I've said this for years, when I talk about my daily journal, it's just like a whenever I get to kind of journal, and I usually end up saving that for like fun events that have happened throughout the week. But using the hone has been a nice way to document the smaller mundane things in life and to kind of practice a little bit of gratitude. So if I can take away a few things from this experiment, I've learned that I actually use my planner a lot later in the day, and I'm okay with it. And I like to log things and tasks that I have completed after the fact. And sometimes that works, but sometimes it's nice to be more deliberate about what you're going to take on and tackle on for the day. But I feel like I've made that mental list in my head already when I am working. But I think moving forward, I'm going to be a little bit more deliberate about opening up my planner a little bit earlier. That's one of my findings from this experiment. And I think that also being away from my usual home, which is weird because Vancouver is home for me, but being away from my new home and traveling also kind of messes up with your daily schedule. So ever since I've gotten back, I've been kind of planning in my planner a little bit earlier in the morning. But at least one of my findings from this experiment is that I didn't really feel behind or miss any plans or forget about anything major, even though I didn't open up my planner. So I think it's an indication that my planning system is still working and I enjoy it. I just get to my planner a little bit later in the day. And then in terms of my journaling practice, I definitely find that I have been gravitating towards a lot of like mild liners and big, bold captions for my journal, and just focusing on the written word. Usually I just write with a fountain pen or a gel pen or a ballpoint pen, like a Uni Jetstream. But I think throughout this trip I was using my plotter pen, which I love so much, which is a gel pen. All of that is to say that I am enjoying just using my pens and my liners to journal about my day, and I feel that there's really no need to print out photos or doodle or draw in my journal, in my daily journal, and without having that I guess obligation to draw or paint has kind of allowed me to just enjoy logging my day and being pretty simple about it and not having too much guilt when there's like no artwork or something interesting on the spread. So that was one of my final findings in my journal. And yeah, I think this is a really good experiment for anyone that is wondering or wanting to find out a little bit more about their journaling and planning habits. It's kind of interesting to see how many times I started opening up my planner after a certain time, or what color schemes I was gravitating towards, and what stickers I was using. So I really recommend you to kind of take this little experiment on and to see if you have any fun journaling patterns or habits that kind of have naturally developed over time. If you do already know that information, leave it down in the description bar below. I would love to know. And if you made it this far into this very long chatty video, please leave a let's leave a boba. Is there a bubble tea emoji? Just because I am craving a milk tea with pudding and pearls. what's your bubble tea order? I would love to know as well. Okay, that's it, folks. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. I can't wait to do a little bit more of a fun video that has a vlog portion in the next video. But I hope you enjoyed this chatty one. Okay, I love you so much. Take care. And again, please support me on Patreon if you want to see more Job's Journal content related to printables, stickers, and vlogs and videos. Okay, I love you so much. Bye-bye.